Thank you for joining us on this webinar. Today's webinar is brought to you by Camu and AWS. I'd like to extend a very, very warm welcome to everyone for this webinar on the topic of enhancing learning experiences of students through generative AI. This topic is a very, very important topic because, why education industry needs generative AI. That's a big question on everybody's mind. I believe, according to the research, 50% of students say they're not engaged in what they are learning in school or college. So some questions that everyone has in their mind is, can AI create a personalized experiences that engage students more effectively? Or can it offer an automated, grading system that can provide quicker turnaround times or help students to learn more from their mistakes faster? Or can AI offer a precise insights into student performance, enabling better academic planning? Or even to that extent, can it reduce the administrative workload, allowing educators to focus more on teaching? These are some of the questions that come into discussion. So let's find out more about it from our exciting panel today. I'd like to introduce Mr. Swami, our co-founder and CEO of Camu. I'd also like to welcome, a very warm welcome to you, Swami.
Thank you, Kiran.
And I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Vishal Khurma, CEO of Woxsen University. Hi, Vishal.
Thank you, Kiran, for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And Amit Potnis, Group CIO, Times Network. Thank you, Amit.
Hi, Kiran. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Kiran Challapalli, Deep Tech Business Development from AWS team. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you all. We have an interesting and exciting panel. Before we jump on to the actual session, I'd like to give a brief background to each of our panel member. Mr. Swami is the co-founder and CEO of Camu, and he has completed his MS from Wayne University. And he returned to India, joining iSoft to build a robust healthcare solution for the NHS in the UK. Along with his colleagues from the iSoft, he started the journey of Camu in 2014. Today, we are like 500 plus institutions, 2 million users are accessing Camu's product. Swami has played a very crucial role in early stage implementation of Camu and later taking Camu to the 4 new countries. Thank you, Swami, for accepting to moderate the session. And a brief introduction to Mr. Vishal Khurma, who is the CEO of Woxsen University, a successful commercial leader, growth hacker, and his illustrious career spans across 22 years in consumer goods, retail, telecom, and higher education space. His experience straddles across global and Indian conglomerates with leading brands such as PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, Dabur, and Tata Teleservices, catering to various mass and premium product categories. Thank you, Vishal, for joining us on today's discussion. And we have Amit. Amit is the Group CIO of Times Network. He's an experienced IT leader with 24 years of experience in strategizing, planning, and implementing cutting-edge information technology solution to address the business opportunities. He has held many leadership roles as group regional lead in the media and CPG industries, and he has a sound understanding of multiple industries. Amit has diverse leadership experience in managing IT and sales, manufacturing, and human resource departments. It's my pleasure to welcome you, Amit, for this conversation. And we have Kiran from AWS team. He is an experienced data and AI technologist at AWS, helping public sector organization to leverage generative AI to drive better decision. Thank you, Kiran, for joining us on this conversation. I'd like to hand over the session to Mr. Swami as a moderator. He will kickstart the session. We will have a conversation for about 40 minutes. If the attendees have any sort of a question, please feel free to use the Q&A or a chat window to type in your questions. Thank you. Over to you, Swami.
Thank you, Carolyn. Good afternoon, everyone, and it's a very exciting topic that we have for today. In today's rapidly evolving technological landscape, the intersection of artificial intelligence and education is not just a future possibility, it is imminent and is happening right now. So imagine a future where all students receive personalized support, inclusive learning opportunities, build stronger connections with teachers for enhanced guidance, and receive apt recognition and evaluation of their achievements. That makes it a much better and much more interesting for the students. Artificial intelligence typically, it can support education by automating administrative tasks, freeing teachers to focus more on teaching and personalized interactions with students. It will help enhance rather than replace human-led teaching. These are some of the facts that we know. We'll go a bit deeper today into these aspects when we have our the panelists, the knowledgeable panelists that will give us more insights into these topics. I'd like to just highlight one area where there's significant change happening, which is personalized learning. One of the most significant advantages of AI in education can lead to better student outcomes, as students can learn at their own pace in a way that suits their learning style. Intelligent tutoring systems, chatbots, automated grading and assessments, all of these will increase the efficiencies, save teachers time, and provide more accurate and consistent feedback. While a lot of these are things that we are aware of, today's discussion will get us a bit more insight, some better ideas on how we can start experiencing some of these points that we just talked about. So we'll get started with the panel discussion. First, start with Vishal. Your thoughts on the topic for today, Vishal.
Thanks, Swami, first of all, for having me, and many thanks to Camu as well as AWS for setting this up today. Yes, it's a very pertinent topic in terms of enhancing the learning experiences of the students through various AI models and tools which are available. I think more than anything else, what is important today is the higher education institutions in India today are pretty much at a very nascent stage, and they haven't even scratched the surface in terms of what kind of tools probably are available and what they could have possibly done. And so that is where the relevance of this topic particularly becomes even more important, because it's a kind of a gold mine which is completely unexplored at the moment, and nothing really has been done around it. Many factors which are there, and I think as we dig a little deeper into this particular topics and various questions which are coming as we go along in this webinar, those are going to get covered. But one fundamental issue which we as a institution would like to handle it through the AI tools and everything is you get various sort of ways and means in which you get the students admitted, recruited into the institution. Now you have your entrance test, psychometric test, interviews from the panel, etc., etc. Then the offer letter gets released, the student gets recruited, comes on board. Now, once the student comes on board, obviously there is a varied learning processes and systems which are there within the organization, within the institution. And the pace of the student also sometimes vary in between, while the selection process was the same. Somebody would be a fast learner, somebody would be relatively a slower learner, and so on. But obviously they have gone through the entire process of selection, so which means they have the acumen, they have the right sort of a mindset in terms of excelling in their career, excelling in the learning process. But because of various reasons, it is not possible. It doesn't happen. So the idea is that if you are able to get a student who is, let's say, a 80 percentile in a 12th standard, and then in a undergraduate, and you have similar kind of category of students there with you, how would you elevate the overall batch performance so that their learning journey becomes more seamless. The skill sets and competencies become more easier to grasp as they move forward. The span of attention today of the students is relatively much lesser, which we all know about it. Some of the very stark statistics which I came across about a few months back was it is about 13 seconds. And I was shocked to see that why the span of attention among those Gen Zs is about 13 seconds. And our all classes which happen are more than 1 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes, So something which is 13 seconds, and then you have a class duration of 1 hour and 15 minutes, how the hell you are going to make sure that you engage with the student and make sure the learning curve is there? So it's a very tedious question, tough question. How do you engage with them and elevate the batch performance? So from that context, for Woxsen in particular, I would say this is a very pertinent question, and we have been dabbling it from the last, God knows, at least 3.5, 4 years, which I have personally seen in my last 5.5 years of my journey with Woxsen. And we still haven't been able to crack it, to be very honest. We are still trying our best. We are trying our best to make sure that we are able to contribute wherever we can. But if you ask me, have we achieved it 100%? No, we haven't. I would say we have just reached probably 50, 60% of it, where we would like ourselves to be seen. But yeah, this is where we are.
Sure. It's a lot of points there to think about. I think you touched upon, like the nerve center there, how that's the reality that we are facing, the attention span of the Gen Z. And this is certainly, there are possible solutions there. We've got to find the right solutions. What would work for us, and being able to figure that out. Are we AI users, or are we going to be building AI systems that are built for AI, or are we going to be creators of this, right? All of that. So we just need to see what we really want to be, and how can we benefit from this. Great thoughts that you've shared, Vishal. Kiran, your thoughts on the topic, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you very much, Camu, for inviting me to the panel discussion today. And welcome all to the attendees. And of course, it's a pleasure, Vishal and Amit, to be there and along with you, Swami. So in the education sector, we at AWS are particularly focused on quite a bit on solutions that we are working with, our customers on how generative AI can enhance student learning experiences and also improving educational outcomes for students, right? So, and more personally, I believe that to extend to what Vishal was talking about, I think the way our whole education platform, the way we teach, the way the students are evaluated, the way they are looking at what it is that they should aim for should change. And while AI cannot solve all of this, AI can be the mechanism or the means in which that will help us take to that place, right? Like imagine a solution that that teaches the students, like a student tutor, virtual tutor, guides the students through the topics and at their own pace, right? Where they can, every student is different, right? Every human being, the way they learn, how fast they can learn. Somebody is very fast, somebody takes their own time. So, and how they learn is also, very important. So that personalization is something that AI can help with, but we need the domain to take lead because we have the tools, but the knowledge of what the student wants and how to aim it, I think it's a joint exercise that needs to be done. It has to take them through not only studies, but also helping them through other aspects, like you talked about lack of attention span that has fallen from, I remember when I was studying, it used to be called 25 minutes. And we used to have that, what is the timer called? The tomato timer thing. And now it's 17 seconds. That's amazing that how it has fallen, right? So how do we cater to that? How do we manage that is something that we have to, and it is our duty to make sure that the future, the students, they are the future of the country, the world. It's important. And so it's not just studies, it's also the social life, it's their skills outside education, right? That'll help them guide, even all the way till their careers is what, so that they can plan, they know what it is, they know what they're doing, why they're doing. We talk about, oh, students come out of institutions not being job ready. And what does that even mean? It's just that we haven't given them the right means to, or what goals to aim for, right? So that's something I passionately believe that AI can very, very much help. And we have already worked with a lot of educational institutions that are doing, and edtechs especially, that are doing a lot of innovation. And I agree, it's still not enough. There's a whole lot more that needs to be done. But we are seeing a lot of institutions. Like one institution that I wanted to talk about was a company called Brybooks. It's not for higher education, but it helps students with their writing skills, right? And it uses generative AI to kind of nudge through them. It's a platform where students can write stories, right? Books, and they can publish books. And it helps them with their writing skills, their thinking skills. And where GenAI helps them is just nudge them a little bit whenever they hit a writer's block. That's where I think where GenAI should not take over in terms of doing the assignment for them, but helping them, wherever they are stuck. Instead of saying, oh, I give up, I can't do this, it helps them, nudge them a little bit, move them a little bit further, an inch further, and helps them get to that, right? We are also looking at a lot of other interesting things, like even things like graphical art evaluation, right? So it's not just your typical studies kind of evaluation, but what if somebody is painting and then they immediately some information is given to them that boosts their self-pride, and it helps them in their education eventually, right? So they become so confident, and so it automatically, that outcome, that positivity goes into the education part. And I think that definitely adds a lot of value. So I believe there's a lot that GenAI can do.
Sure. Kiran, I think one of the important points that you highlighted was the collaboration. It's like being able to we need to be able to figure out what we exactly want, what's the profile of students in our institution, what helps us, and to be able to provide all the information, build the models and the tools in a way that it can be used. It's both ways. Thanks for that, Kiran. And Amit, your thoughts, please, on the topic for the day.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Swami, for having me and Camu. And it's a pleasure to meet you, Vishal and Kiran, both, although virtually for now. I tend to agree with both of the panelists here, but I also feel that if we know the change curve, we are slightly way beyond the denial stage as far as AI and Gen AI is concerned. And I'm a bit pleased with that. Because now people are more appreciative, acceptable to when you are talking about AI, Gen AI. They're saying, okay, let's see what we can do here. And whereas earlier it was like, hold on. So I think that change itself is very good. I agree with Vishal that it's a gold mine we are sitting on. And one of the reasons why I feel is because this industry in particular will have masses which are much more acceptable to having AI adopted much more faster and hopefully in the right manner. Now, the right manner is where there has to be a bit of monitoring, so to say, but they are so technologically advanced, unlike me at least, safe to say, that the Gen Zs are so advanced that their best friends after their BFFs would be the technology pieces, which is the mobiles, the computer, the laptops, the Macs of the world, and all of that. And that helps us as well to push the case for AI and Gen AI to be used in the right manner. And I think, and that's why I said, when he was talking about gold mine, I was smiling. I was saying, yeah, no doubt about it. In India, specifically in Bennett, we've started the journey on AI. We have a school of AI now, which is a separate sector altogether. But we are also trying to push for not just adoption of AI, but also generating awareness on what AI and Gen AI can do for the students. The only a bit of a food for thought is that it's not an overnight miracle that we can do. It's not a magic that will happen. It's all based on what kind of data set do we have at our disposal and how rich is the data set, which can enable much more useful utilization or leveraging it in the right way as far as the entire student life cycle is concerned. There are so many things that can be automated. Vishal talked about the registration process. I fully agree with the academic process. The COE is another area that has a strong potential for automation and leveraging Gen AI. But I still feel that the LMS is the key over here. If we really want to have students generate interest in specific or certain courses that they are really, really interested in, to break that 13-second span that we were discussing earlier, it's critical for us to have a LMS that keeps them hooked onto the areas that are more interesting for them to pursue further.
Sure. Thanks, Amit. And I can totally relate to your thoughts on the LMS and the passion that you have for how you want to improve that space. I have a question for Vishal. In your experience and in your attempt in Woxsen, what are the changes needed to enable the teaching faculties? Now, if this needs to get to the students, the faculties need to be able to, they have a significant role in enabling this, and so that there's a platform for everyone to benefit from. What actions should we be taking now in order to get the teaching faculties and the students to use the tools effectively?
Interesting question. Students anyways have been using the AI tools to a large extent, I would say, for good, bad, ugly reasons. I don't want to get into it, but yes, we are all dabbling with the same issue, and we haven't been able to get the answers yet.
Sure.
The funny part is,
sorry to interrupt you, I did include the students there because finally they need to benefit. It's really around the teaching faculties, that experience of.
I am coming to that from there.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
See, the funny part I was about to tell you was, before I jump onto the teaching faculty, is that today the AI has come to a level where it has almost come to a full circle, So what I'm trying to say, let me tell you that. Student is taking the help of AI to write certain assignment, let us say XYZ. I won't get into the details of it. Teacher is able to understand it. Now, to make sure the teacher is not able to understand, it is taken from AI and the help has been taken from AI. There is something called as another AI which is available, which is called humanize this content. So AI is there to humanize that content so that it doesn't look plagiarized and it doesn't look like it has come from generative AI, So which is very, very funny to me. And the students are doing that. First, they take it from the AI, then they humanize that same content which is generated from the AI. Then another AI is making it humanize, and then the submission is happening, So anyways, that is a different problem to handle, and we all will be able to handle it maybe some point in time. But coming to the main question about a teaching faculty, what kind of changes, etc. See, there are many changes which are going to be there. And it is not only the technical changes, I would say. It is going to be much beyond that as well, which is more to do with the culture, which is more to do with the way the change management is supposed to be driven in the organization as an institution. From a technical point of view, if you see, first of all, I think the most important thing is the teaching faculty is supposed to know about all the tools which are available, which can help them customize the content which is available for better student absorption. Like we mentioned earlier, that the span of attention is not there and the engagement level of the students is definitely low. So how do you make sure that the student absorption becomes better? That's one which is there. And of course, there are various ways and means in which that can be handled, and AI tools today are available towards that. I was earlier, sometime back, in one of the panel discussions somewhere, I don't recall where, but there was one discussion which came out and somebody told in the panel that, the span has gone to that level where AI has to come into the picture, where the lecture notes should be now encapsulated into a bite size sort of information, and it should go as a 20-seconder videos or a 40-seconder, 45-seconder videos. Now it was looking quite hilarious. This was about 1 year back, but actually speaking today, I felt that I'm able to resonate with that today. I mean, I was not able to resonate at that point in time 1 year back when I was listening to somebody speaking like this, But today's context, when I feel and I go back to my institution and see how the Gen Zs, particularly the UG students, I would say, not the PG students in particular there, they are responding and they're looking out for the content or the creation of the content in terms of engagement. We are pretty much almost at the cusp of a situation where your evaluations are being, it's an adaptive way of running your evaluations using the AI tools. You are also coming to a situation where you record your lecture notes, and then later on these are being accessed as videos by the students at a later stage. So those changes are happening. You're also able to see certain points where today I think the teaching faculty is trying to use AI tools for a very regular sort of queries which are coming, the routine queries which are coming. So they try to handle those and give those pointers and feeders to the students to use AI for getting those answers from there itself. And for a deeper interaction where the concept has to be really dealt much more in detail, that is where the faculty is using their time effectively and then having an engaging session with the set of students. So these are the ways and means in which somewhere some of the teaching faculty is using it. I also very interestingly, Swami, saw at Woxsen where some of our PhD scholars, they are using AI tools in particular with the help of the professors, which is towards writing the research drafts and briefs and doing data analysis also. There is some bit of, it's very, very nascent stage, I would say, but you are able to see those green shoots there in terms of that particular thing being used by those research scholars as well. Now, this is very, very heartening to see because you know how the research world works, and lots of thousands of journals are there. And if somebody as a research scholar has to go through it, it's a bit of a tedious exercise, and it requires a lot of time, effort, and energy on that front. But if AI tool is available, which can basically scan through those particular thousands of journals which are available on a particular topic and give me a 2,000-page report on what is relevant to the context of what I want to put in my research draft or something, that makes it very, very handy. And there are today the scholars who are able to use that, which I have seen in particular at Woxsen. I did mention in my opening note earlier regarding elevating the batch performance, right? Now, to me, that is the most important thing for any education. It's a barometer of success, whether the institution is doing the right thing in terms of the learning journey of the students or not. That is how I see it. What I mean to say in terms of a KPI, I understand KPIs. I'll start speaking a KPI in that context. What I basically run as an institution, when we look at the teaching faculty, what kind of an impact they're able to make on the students, right? So if my admissions department has recruited, let us say 2,000 students this year as 24 intake, on those 2,000 students, if there are 80% of them which are from 80 to 90% category, and there are 70 to 80% category, another 5% are there, and the balance are there from 60 to 70% category, right? The pie is full. Now the question is, once the first semester goes and the exams are done, you are able to evaluate and see from those exam results that today, how many are basically in that particular bracket of 80 to 90 percentile? How many are in the bracket of 70 to 80 percentile? and what is the transition which is happening. So for example, if you had about 80% students who were 12th class, 80% and above, and after joining the university, that 80% students have now become 70%, which means there is a 10% fall, which is there in the students. That means the learning journey is not really going up to the mark. So either you are able to make sure as a KPI, it is definitely on a progressive note, so that the 80%, what I have given you as an intake, you're able to elevate the performance of the batch and make them as an average, let us say 85% and above, So with that, what happens is you're able to ensure that the competency-based learning of the students is happening. That's one. The evaluation of the students is going on the right track. That is two. Third, you are also able to do interventions as the teaching faculty is able to do interventions with the students by way of various other activities which can be done, because you can preempt basis the various parameters which are there, from the data. One could be attendance, one could be subject internal scores, one could be the final scores, and so on. So basis that, the AI will be able to tell you and predict that the batch performance is not going to be 85 percentile and above. It is going to be, there will be some laggards. And those laggards who are there, let us say 10, 15, 20% of those laggards who are there, what kind of a specific intervention which you need to do, which is what we were talking earlier, which is in terms of the customized learning way for those slow learners probably. So you can devise using these AI tools and predictive tools which are available, that how do you give them certain interventions which are beyond their curriculum given in the classes, to make sure they're able to improve their learning curve and learning journey. Not only that, what you are also able to do is, while you preempt it and you are able to see the predictive analysis there, you're also able to understand that as an institution, if a particular subject from the assessment, when you do the assessment and there is a grading which is done, you're able to understand which concepts have not really gone down well with the students, right? You're able to pick that up. And once you're able to pick it up, what you are also able to do is, you can use certain AI tools to give supplementary materials, supplementary worksheets or certain projects to improve their learning curve on those particular modules and domains. So that is the way I think you're able to optimize your grading system. You're able to optimize and customize your learning experience of your students as well. And these are the ways and means, I think, which are very, very potent ways for the teaching faculty to make these changes and start utilizing these AI tools as we move forward.
Sure. That's a very good operational example with some very specific goals. And you're talking about the most important aspect, which is improving the batch performance there. So we are doing quite a bit of work on the predicting the student the performance, as well as the student dropouts, which is also becoming in India not so much, but other countries where we operate, student dropouts. So predicting and getting that information to the institution upfront is quite critical, and I'd love to talk to you about that later, Vishal, on how we can, and would like to understand a bit more about what you do there.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. My next question to Amit, on personalized learning experiences, and in your role as the Times Group, the CIO, to come across a lot of these tools and stuff. What tools you think are most exciting, AI driven, and that could help in personalized learning?
So I think there are multiple tools available, to be honest, but honestly, if I want to target something, tools like what Carnegie Learning is doing, or Dreambox, they provide very personalized tutoring to students, specifically something like math, for example, they do that. And they are very good in adopting real-time based student responses. And not just adopting that, but they also offer a feedback which is tailored to the requirement of the way the students are approaching these subjects. Then you have certain platforms which you can do to leverage AI, most specifically to automate the grading process. But the grading process is specifically for open-ended questions and assignments. Again, um, to Vishal's point, it's like an AI, but then there has to be some manual intervention. But what it does is it actually allows the educators to provide a faster feedback, rather than them going through everything. It's a very simple output for them, concise, which they can take a call on and decide. Duolingo is another tool in the market, which normally utilizes your natural language progressing. And that is something that is also becoming very fast-paced in the market. More to do with adapting the learning pace and style of the students and so on and so forth. So I think there are multiple, but I think what key is for me is the way that you can leverage the AI-driven platforms to drive the student life cycle, right? So you can assess a student's strengths and weaknesses, adjust the difficulty level of the material, and in turn, it can also be extended to content recommendation. What it does is it actually becomes a sort of like an artificial friend, if or an artificial tutor of sorts for students, where they can, to your point, Swami, earlier, it's inclusive to their requirements. It can go as per their pace. It can go, they can slice and dice how they want to take a course and so on and so forth. So that I think is very exciting from my point of view. But again, that also boils down to personalized content creation. Like we use Netflix, if I'm watching a consistent thriller series on Netflix, it will actually recommend me, do you want to watch this? Which will be another set of the same genre. So I think that's very exciting. If that's something that we need to really start looking at, to say how can I personalize what you want to learn. And the only way I can personalize for you is the more you start giving me a feedback on how and what you are learning as a part of whatever is available, we can do more personalizations, right? And it basically helps educators to do to have customized plans on and education materials as well. What it does is it also helps drive more productivity down the line, from a productivity and of course efficiency down the line, from a topic as well as an educator, or from a student as well as an educator standpoint, which I think is great. The other thing is the predictive analysis, and this is an interesting topic, which the predictive analysis for student success is something which is very exciting, where employees basically are, or rather institutions are employing AI analytics to identify the at-risk students. That's very critical for us to do that, to say, who do we need to look at to support more, to make sure that they get back on track. And that's something that can only happen through predictive analytics. And that's also there are a lot of tools in the market related to predictive analysis. Then you got my favorite LMS. So we have Canvas, we have now Camu, which we are going with for sure. Then we've got Coursera Learning, which are like platforms where it's not just AI anymore, it's more to do with Gen AI, right? So Coursera, for example, Coursera Learning or even Camu has an auto content generation facility for the faculty. And we can build specific tools on top of it to gauge the feedback in terms of how these courses are being pursued by the students. And those courses can then be corrected accordingly. And then, that's a continuous improvement cycle you get in once you have that implementation done. But that is where I think I still believe that is where the crux of the feedback and the crux of the effort goes in. We have so many contents that we generate on a day in, day out basis, be it universities, be it corporates, or so on. How many of these do we really go back and ask people to say, hey, did you like it? Was it useful for you? And even if we ask, people typically normally are very nice to say, oh, it was good, not a problem. But here is an analytics that can give you actually a comparison with a Woxsen kind of a course or a Stanford kind of a course and say, hey, these are the 5, 10 things that you can do different. Do you want to look at it? And that is something that will drive a lot of productivity and benefit across for students as well as the faculty.
Sure. Yeah, and bringing all of that together, and like that Netflix experience you talked about, if that comes into learning, I've done my 2 minutes of responding to some question, then I'm prompted with something else based on how I've responded. If we're able to bring that that kind of experience, that Gen Z will certainly relate to that, and I think that's something we all need to work towards to bring that experience for the students. Next question, it's on data, Kiran. Now, with there's a lot of there's still quite a lack of trust on systems, these kind of systems, and people are beginning. India is going to have its own the data privacy laws, enforced and enforced very strictly, hopefully. Now, how should now AI needs data, and data feeds the experience, and it's people's data. So I'm sure AWS is gone through this a number of times, and you have you're quite advanced in your thinking of this. So what do you have? How should education institutions be dealing with this?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. Data privacy, student privacy is very important. One aspect is earlier in the AI space, in the machine learning, classical ML is what it is called these days after generative AI has come. So the classical AI used to be a little bit more in control, where you trained the model, you took an algorithm and then you trained a model with your data, right? So you could control the data. So even there was a lot of suspicion, oh, what if there is bias without even in my own data and so on and so forth, right? Now, on top of it, generative AI, you're not training it, right? At least maybe some fine tuning a little bit in a very few 5% maybe or lesser number of cases. But majority of the folks are using the model as is. So privacy is definitely a critical issue, and especially so in education, right? So institutions should adopt a privacy by design kind of an approach. They need to integrate, privacy considerations from the outset, from the very beginning of an AI project. The way AWS approaches it is that we recommend implementing strong data governance policies, choosing the right model in the right way, building safeguards around what data is going in and what data is coming out from the generative AI model, using anonymization, encryption technologies, and most importantly, I was talking to one particular customer who said, hey, I don't want my customer to know that this is not a human. And I told him flat out, I think that's dangerous, right? You need to be transparent with your end users, so it won't work that way. You got to understand that this is end of the day, it's a model, and it's not a human. So it's better that you be transparent with your users, and also about where you're sourcing the data and which model and so on, right? And of course, there are government regulations, be it in India, outside India, and so on, right? We provide a lot of tools. AWS platform, as you know, AWS was the first cloud computing platform, and when we first came out in 2006, everybody was worried about, oh, it's cloud, it's not in my data center, it's not in my server that I know where it is. How can I trust? So the foundations of AWS have always been security, privacy, and so we have extended those to our models as well. So the way we have chosen, so the way we have built these is that while we provide a range of models that you can use, but we also provide you a guardrails, a safeguards mechanism to be able to control when you are exposing it to your application. You can control what and how and where and what it can do. For example, one particular ed tech, wanted to build a solution, and then the students, if they say, hey, can you suggest a course that will assure me 100% assurance of getting a job in Amazon or, and some of the top companies with the top salaries. You don't want a bot to answer one way or the other, right? You want those kind of questions are subjective, where a human makes a lot more sense. So, how do you cater to that? If you just give it to a large language model, it will try to answer it, right? So that's where we have built, guardrails mechanism, so that you can prevent such kind of questions, which we call it as topic denial, right? So certain topics you can say, no, these are the topics that the system should not answer. And we built it even before it goes to the LLM, right? So they are like, like our firewall for networks, but this is a firewall for LLMs.
Sure. There's a lot of work to be done in order to bring that awareness on what is happening to your data, and what are the implications of that. I think that awareness will come. I think there's a lot more work to do in that space, so that people become more confident. I just see that there are several questions, or 11 questions lined up already. Maybe I'll just go into the take some questions from the audience. I'll take one question from Alpana. FDPs are required for faculty to prepare them for Education 5.0. AI is applicable in all domains and disciplines, but faculties are experts in their subjects, but not technology. Corporate should help academia fill this gap. I think that's the crux. How do we scale them up? Amit, would you like to take that question, Amit?
Yeah, sure. I'm not sure I agree with the statement on the fact that the faculty needs to be trained on FTP, something like an FTP. I do agree that there might be pockets or gaps in certain areas which we need to definitely fill in. That's 100% given. What we also look at is we do multiple sessions, not just through corporates, but also through visiting faculties for faculties as well, which helps, which helps spread awareness of a particular topic and of a particular subject for that matter. And right now, we are also trying to see if we can open the gates, so to say, for the corporates to welcome the academicians to say, do you want to ask any questions? Do you want to, do you want to help? Do you need our help in addressing certain things? We have a very strong IT team in Bennett, and they always extend a lot of support to the faculties where required. We haven't yet reached that stage, to be honest, where I can very confidently say that there is no gap left. So I don't think we are there. We've just started on that journey right now, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, and it's a part of the change. It's a part of the change curve that will evolve after a certain point in time. But it also has to be addressed as a part of the initial onboarding or recruitment when we try and do that. There are certain basic aspects that definitely can be addressed. The rest of the things we can always, train or coach people on it. It should be treated as per me, and with due respect to you, Vishal, it should be treated as a corporate, and then there will be the discipline has to be just lift and shift.
Sure.
What we follow in the corporate has to follow in the university, and then people will be more mindful that maybe I'm not sure I know how to use the Copilot for Microsoft Teams, for example. And then they will start reaching out to the right people to say, hey, can you train me on this?
Sure. Yeah, I can totally relate to how you responded to that, and and the thinking from an institutional, right from the top, as the whole environment, adopting it makes it easier than individuals trying to pull things by themselves. So that'll be one way of getting it done. Next question,
Can I add a few things, Swami?
Yeah, please.
To the same question, and I have certain interesting things to add to Amit's point of view.
Sure.
I think it's going to be interesting for the audience as well. First thing is, the audiences, they need to understand that faculty also works absolutely the way we all other people work, right? And while Amit is saying that we all should be looking at it as a corporate and lift and shift into the universities as well, I 100% believe in it. But when I go within the university campus, I don't say these lines at all, because of various reasons, which I will discuss separately. Now, there are reasons, and there are many more other reasons which are not even talked about at various platforms. But yes, corporatization is something which is important. And if the universities are able to understand that there is no demerit in it, if you look at it from a corporate lens, you're rather trying to bring an efficiency into the system, not take out the efficiencies from the university setup. But having said that, there are various dogmas, there are various school of thoughts which are there, which are prevalent, and those doesn't really work the way we would like it to. So there's a catch over there. I'll talk about a few things which we do, since coming back to the FDP question, which was raised earlier. We have something called as a faculty internship program, which we are running from the last 2 years at Woxsen. And what the faculty does is basically they, when the students are away for their summer internships, we push the faculty also out to do their faculty internship programs, and they would be doing it at the corporates. Now that would be basically where they go and sign up for the internship project or whatever the project is going on in the organization. They would just simply join them. It's non-paid. Anyways, the faculty is being paid by Woxsen. So we don't expect the corporate to pay anything to our faculty. It is not required. We don't want it also. And what I want is they should be able to understand what is the industry trends which are available in the market, and they are able to pick those learnings from there. They can open the horizons in terms of their thinking, come back and implement those things when they are reworking on the curriculum for the next year, and implement those learnings into the sphere of their working. So that is in a way a sort of a FDP, I would say, for our faculty. And second thing, what we do is we have a tie-up with about close to 160 plus partner universities from across the world, spanning across about 60 plus countries. And we have a lot of international faculty coming at the campus physically, not only to teach as adjunct visiting faculty or exchange or as an exchange faculty at our campus, but when they come, we also make sure we organize the sessions for our own faculty also, so that you're able to pick up some of the best practices which are there across the globe, right? So that works the best in terms of the learning curve for the faculty also. But one last thing which I would like to point out here is that any new thing which you want to roll it out, like Kiran said earlier, and he gave a very classic example of the cloud computing earlier, and how we all were averse to migrating to cloud, but it was a natural evolution. So same way, I think for the teaching faculty also, this AI tools and getting acquainted to the Gen AI is something which is a natural evolution. It's some time, I think, for that to seep into their thinking. This is going to aid my thinking. This is going to aid my teaching to the students and my own learning also. And eventually it is going to be for the benefit. It is not coming to replace me. So that thinking is something which is going on, and it is seeping into the minds of the faculty, at least for us. We are not there yet, I would say. There are certain dogmas which are still there today, but we have largely been able to do that because of the kind of forward-looking attitude which we have as an organization, as an institution. And that is coming from the kind of cross-lifting of various successful experiences which the faculty is able to see when the foreign faculty comes and they interact with them. So that's pretty much about it from my end.
Excellent. So almost like 16 questions now, and we did lose a bit of time in between. So probably we can hope so we can stretch up till 4:35. We'll try and take a couple more questions. the next question, I'll point that to Kiran. Gen AI or Gen AI, will they cripple or negatively impact the critical thinking and innovative skills? How to ensure that they do not happen? Otherwise, it will be dangerous.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, your response to that, please.
So any tool can be used in a good and a bad way, right? So if you remember when Gen AI first came out, the whole chat GPT, teachers were out and saying that, everybody is cheating, the students are cheating. But those things tend to go away because teachers adapt to it. They see that, okay, it's not about just finding content. It is about how the student is approaching the problem, right? So in that way, I believe that Gen AI will definitely be a positive. Uh, of course, we have to have those frameworks. We have to have the right intent to use it in a way that helps us all. If there will always be a push and pull, right? So you might come up with the most safe way of building a solution, and somebody will figure out a way to break that. But I believe in the bigger picture, in the larger 80%, the 80-20 rule. If I look at the Pareto principle, I believe it will definitely add a lot of value. There's so much value that we can get from it. The personalized approach, the way we teach, the way it helps the students. We heard from Vishal and Amit about how they can have a predictive way to identify which students are not performing well, and how to, as Vishal said, it's about the batch. It's not about an individual student, right? So that all of those things are not possible at the scale of students. A class used to have 30 students when I went to college, and now it could be as large as 160 students, right? And I've seen that in one particular class. It's impossible for the teacher, however many teaching assistants they might have, to be able to cater and understand who is doing how. And so technology, AI, data, these are things that will aid them, help them tremendously, right? Even think about the whole way in which one teacher, you had a great teacher, and then you were limited by, his class can only handle 60 students, but now there's no such limit, right? So how is that happening, right? And imagine, and where AI is, that is just you might say that is just the internet, mobile device, and so on. Yes, but what if you add beyond that? What if you are in real time or near real time, giving access to a Hindi who doesn't understand English or who doesn't understand German, and is listening to a German professor, and in real time it is translating and giving a lecture in Hindi for that student, right? Now, those are the things that will definitely help, and these are all possible through AI.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the larger picture. Then finally, it's good. It'll all be equalized, right? Everyone will have access to the tools, so there'll be just about how things get adapted. So one last question, and I'll give this to Vishal. How can a teacher teach a concept in 18 seconds? As what you say, the attention span is short. Is short. Your response to that, please.
I cannot answer this question, to be very honest. I'm short of all the answers in this context.
Sure.
But what the sense of this is, let me try and explain that context a little bit. Not in terms of answer, but from a context point of view. The idea is that, see, you have a particular span of attention, which is 13 seconds. Now, your lecture is supposed to be, let us say, about 1 hour, 15 minutes odd, which is about 75 odd minutes. Now, if you are able to pick up certain particular relevant concepts, there could be a particular slide or something which a teacher is talking about and explaining the concept. Now, that particular concept, if you're able to use a particular tool and transform that from a lecture note into a particular reel or something. We all are very fond of YouTube shorts and Instagram reels these days. Everyone wants to swipe and keep looking at those reels because that is something which is what the span of attention basically is, and how you're able to capture the attention of the people and engagement of the people. The same way it works for the student also. See, if a particular concept you are able to transform into a bite-sized information, which is a 1-minute video. I mean, for the sake of saying it, we can say it is about 20-second video. But yeah, if it's a one minute video of a concept which you're able to get, and you're able to send it out through a particular mechanism to the entire batch of students, that concept would basically become very, very easy for everyone to understand in that short time, even if they have missed the classes or the recording is not available or whatever. By the way, learning management system does give the recording of the class also, and you are able to see the entire longer version of the video also, which is exactly 75 minutes of the class.
Sure. Yeah, I think the context is important. How we address the problem. It's not about fitting into the 18 seconds or
Yes.
30. How to respond to that. There are about 17 questions here, and from the audience, and we will prepare a response to each of those questions and send an email to the audience. We will certainly get your questions answered, but it's now a little bit over time now, so we will close the session here. My thank you very much Kiran, Vishal, and Amit for coming to the session today, and for all your insights. I'm sure it's very beneficial for all our audience. Thank you very much to you.
Thank you all very much. I request the attendees to take a few seconds to respond to the poll questions that you will see on screen.
Now the attention span will be very, very clear now. Let's see how many people really vote.
A good one. So we greatly appreciate your feedback. If you could just take a few minutes to respond to the poll.
Few seconds rather.
Yeah, a few seconds. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
the
you.
session
Thank
today.
you, Vishal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amit.
Thank you very much.
Kiran.
It was
Appreciate
great
your
to be
time.
there along with the rest of the panelists. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Like Swami said, we will take all your questions and respond personally to each and every one of you. Thank you all very much. Thank you.